Right then, lads, welcome back to Kossi's Arsenal podcast. My name is Kossi. We are back again. It's Saturday, and a couple of stories have been published around Arsenal. But I did pick interest in one, a short list of 5 strikers that have been identified by Arsenal and published by 90 Min. 5 strikers that Arsenal are looking at. 5 candidates to replace Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang as well as Alexander Lacazette. Surely it should be Alexander Lacazette in this January or in the summer. Then I think next summer we will look at another striker to replace Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, because his contract actually runs down in the summer that comes but one. So we're gonna be discussing that. We're going to be looking at some of the names and what I think about these candidates, because they're players I've never heard of, and they're players that I think shouldn't be signed by Arsenal, and they're players that I think that is the real deal. But before we get into that, I would love to get your thoughts on this. Which striker do you think should come in at Arsenal at this point in time, when you have Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang aging but also becoming blunt, as blunt as possible, and then you have Alexander Lacazette, who's just committed his future away from Arsenal. He's not signing a new deal. He's in the last months actually of his contract, so that means he's gonna be leaving the club in the summer. Who would you love to see? I've told you my thoughts, and I'm gonna reiterate my opinion and thoughts in this video again. It's the same man, the same English, top man for striker that I want. Of course, there are a couple of other candidates if we do not get Watkins, but I love Watkins, and I think it should be at Arsenal's top list. It should be top of the list. But can we get Ollie Watkins? That and more comes up on the show. Smash a like on the video. Let's get them to at least 200 likes on this one. And so many people have been asking me, because I do not get notifications. There are 2 reasons. One, I am responsible for the reason that you're not getting notifications, because I've not been uploading consistently. That has changed. But the other is you've not subscribed and you've not turned on the notification bell, or you've not hit the share button. So if you hit if you want those daily updates, make sure you hit the share button, and make sure you hit the subscribe and notification bell. It also grows the channel, and this is a family. Right, let's get the party started. 90 Min have produced the article, and I think we can trust them. I mean, they told us that Arsenal would be given around 150 million to spend. They did say 200 million, but I think that money, I think that figure included player sales. And if you still remember, in the summer, we absolutely struggled to let out some of the players. It was a difficult task for Edu and Arteta. They had to bring in almost 7 players, and they also had to drive out around 7, 8 to 9 players. It was always gonna be hard, and I don't remember us selling, apart from Joe Willock, I don't remember us selling really players for significant amounts of money. I thought Xhaka could go for around 20. The transfer didn't happen. I thought Willock would move on. He did. Guendouzi moved on for pennies. I was absolutely disappointed in that, but I mean, it again creates that kind of credibility for 90 Min, because they have said it before. The Arsenal were going to be given a huge budget to run, and we were given the budget. It was 157 million. That was the budget, and I'll just give credit to 90 Min, because they broke the story. It spread around. It took a lot of time to mature and materialize, especially by the fact that we signed some of these players in the dying days of the summer. But that doesn't, for me, change anything. They are credible. Now they have Harry Simeo, another Arsenal expert, another football expert. I really do love him. I love the way that he checks his facts, Harry Simeo. So we can't believe them. 90 Min, let's say 50, because they're a blog. At the end of the day, they're a blog, and some group of media experts that are trying to build their thing. Let's give them 60% credibility, and then the 40 we could always turn to when things go wrong, right? So what have they said? They're saying that Arsenal has a short list of 5 candidates. 5 candidates that will be looked at to replace Alexander Lacazette or Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang in the long run. And these are 5 strikers that are young, 5 strikers that have been on the European scene for some time, and 5 strikers that just fit into the project of what Edu and Mikel are trying to do at Arsenal. Get these young players there, get these young players in, develop them together, and probably you could win silverware, because you do not have the money to spend later in the day. I think at 7 we will discuss much of the Arsenal takeover and the Newcastle takeover, and look, I'll try to point a picture, an insight of why I think Kroenke, this is time out. Not time out because he didn't invest last summer, but I think it's time out because the competition has become, the competition, line, the bar has been set too high, and the blankets have been, blown. That Newcastle becoming the richest club, and subsequently the biggest club in the world, probably in the next half a decade. It speaks volumes to the Premier League position Arsenal can attain, and also to what we can achieve in Europe. Are we gonna be Europa League, players all the time? We're never gonna go back to the Champions League, because with Newcastle, Manchester United, Manchester City, Chelsea, and Liverpool, who I think do have a very good investment pattern, though many Liverpool fans don't think so. I think with all that, you've got to you've got to feel pity for Arsenal. You've got to. But who are these 5 men, and what are they saying about them in regards to joining Arsenal and their success? Number 1 is Sevilla striker Youssef En-Nesyri. Now, Youssef En-Nesyri, this is not the first time I've seen this name, and I've never done a video about him, but worry not, each of the names that we speak about here, we will do an extended video, we will do an extended cover up of these strikers, and we will know who exactly fits Arsenal one by one. I will be producing those videos on the course of next week, so make sure you are tuned in. So Youssef En-Nesyri, his contract expires in 2025. Like I said, he's just 24 years of age, which just brings him down into the picture of what Arsenal want to do. Signing players that are 24, 25 and below, and groom them together, develop them together. It's more like an under 23s. I mean, if you look at Arsenal have lining up the youngest squad in the Premier League, it's more like an under 23, because how many Arsenal players in that Arsenal 11 above 25? You think about Thomas Partey, who is 28. You think about Leno doesn't start normal. Probably you should say you could have said Leno. Think about Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, who is 31, 32. Then think about Xhaka, who no longer for me is who's no longer a first teamer at Arsenal. 3 months out, there should be someone who occupies that place, unless otherwise. So the rest of the team is actually below 24 years. They're actually below the likes of Gabriel and Ben White, 23, with a goalkeeper who's 23, Tomiyasu is 22, and I think Tian is 24, 23. Then you have Saka, Smith Rowe, Odegaard, average age 22. Then you have the likes of you have the likes of Gabriel Martinelli waiting off the bench, and Albo Sambe Lokonga. All those are very young players. So Youssef En-Nesyri qualifies to be part of the project, and one of the things I've seen about Youssef En-Nesyri, and I liked it, is his goal scoring rate. In 2019-2020, he played 18 games and scored 4 goals. That's ridiculous, isn't it? I'm not really trying to sell to you that picture. But last season, in the 2020-2021 season, he scored 18 goals out of 38 appearances. I think 24 years of age, he can do better. This season, played 6 games and already has scored 3 times and assisted 1 time. So he's involved in 4 goals in 6 appearances. I think he can do better. 24 years of age, that is not the maximum for a striker. I think, he's arriving slowly. He's arriving at his peak. And last season scoring 18 goals. This season I expect him to score at least a minimum of 15 and a maximum of at least 30 goals. Of course, being at Sevilla, you could score 27, you could score 25, and I would be absolutely, absolutely okay with that. So, Youssef El-Nesyri, according to 90 Min, he would cost a reported 38 million pounds, and I think that is cheap for a striker whose contract runs down in 2025, because we are in 2021. January, obviously, it will be 2022. So that means, it would be 3 years away, right? 3 years or 2 years away in the summer, from its completion. So 38 million pounds is a little bit fair, but it's not a transfer we can do in January. And 90 Min put it very well. It's one that Arsenal shouldn't be thinking about doing in January. And I think we are under no pressure. It's a Saturday. The reason as to why I don't feel the pressure could be that we have Lacazette until the summer. Oh, it's a Saturday and I just feel the Saturday vibes. But I just feel we are in no rush to get a striker in January. I think it should be in the summer. In January, it should be a central midfielder. It should be someone who covers for Xhaka. It should be someone who gets in those pockets of space, and should be a very, very good one. But number one is Youssef El-Nesyri, Sevilla, 38 million. I think Arsenal could work with that. Still remember the comments of Pep Guardiola in the summer. He said, well, we want a striker, but the figures, the prices in the market are absolutely crazy and astronomical. We might not manage. And Manchester City at this point in time are playing without a striker. They have Ferran Torres, who I think is doing a very good job as a false nine. They have Gabriel Jesus, who I don't think is the complete striker they need. They wanted Hurricane, but it was 150 million, 180 million. They were never going to pay that. And Spurs somehow, jokingly, managed to write off the bid. Right. Candidate number 2 is Ollie Watkins, and this is my target. This is the player that I think Arsenal should be going for. Not an easy one, because if you look at what Aston Villa are trying to build, if you look at what Villa are trying to create with their squad, and they said it in the summer that yes, what we are creating could be a little bit, too early for us to make Jack Grealish to stay. But I think they can make the likes of Ollie Watkins stay. They can make the likes of Joe McGinn stay, because they have a structure. I don't know what their motives are. I don't know what their ambitions are, but whatever it is, it looks absolutely very, very good. And in my opinion, I don't see them, trying to win the league. I don't see them trying to, go to Europa League or things like that. But I think they want to buy a place into top 10 permanently, and I think they can do that with the quality of players they do have. Because look, they have one of the best goalkeepers in the league. I think their defense is absolutely all right. Tyrone Mings just balances the shit. They are very good full backs in Target and Cash. Their midfield is okay. You have the likes of Ramsey, Joe McGinn. I think it's just fine. And then they have outfield players that also look good. The likes of Wendia and Leon Bailey. And if you look at the way they reinvested that Jack Grealish money, it shows you that they want to buy a place somewhere in top 10, and that is what Arsenal want to do. It's no longer ascribed like it was, because then it was absolutely ascribed. Arsenal could just finish top 4 ascribed. There was no alternative, but now you have so many alternatives in the pool, and now we are in that kind of pool where you're either doing well or you out of the pool, and you don't want to be out of the pool. So Ollie Watkins, 25 years of age, and what is interesting is that 90 Min have said the price tag, they've just put a lot, and that speaks volumes. He had a very good season last season. Actually, I think he has had 2 good seasons of his life. If I can, if I can look at his statistics, last season he scored 14 goals out of 37 appearances for Aston Villa. He was their main striker. This season, he started the season with an injury. He's played 5 games. He's only scored once, and I think the injury affected him. But let's look at his championship records. He scored. This is crazy. 2019-2020, 26 goals, 3 assists, 49 games. That should be close to what Ivan Toney scored for Brentford last season. And I still remember when Mikel Arteta was being asked about Ollie Watkins, and he said, I think he was asked about Ivan Toney, right? Because we were playing Brentford at the beginning of the season. And he said, he actually said, what Brentford have done in replacing players in that area, I think they just choose their forwards so well. Ivan Toney, Ollie Watkins, Brian Mbeumo, I think they're spot on. But if you look at the statistics of Ollie, 26 goals last season, but 1 in the championship, and being promoted to the Premier League, where I think it's always gonna be hard, right? He scored 14 goals in 37 appearances. I think he's one of those strikers that we are linked with that have double figures. Actually, most of them do have double figures. I think Youssef En-Nesyri last season, 18 goals in a weaker league, and I think that's where Ollie Watkins comes in and comes on top, because Youssef En-Nesyri has scored 4 more goals for Sevilla in 1 more appearance, that is 38 games. Ollie Watkins has scored 14 in 37. But if you compare the La Liga, where you're playing the likes of Getafe, apart from Atletico Madrid, Valencia, Villarreal, Barcelona, and Madrid, those are 5 teams. You're playing Getafe, you're playing Levante, you're playing Girona, you're playing... I think it's easier to score in the Spanish La Liga, and the way their league is arranged, slow-paced, so structured. I think it's easy for strikers there than in the Premier League. But of course, don't forget the fact that Ollie Watkins had the supply of Jack Grealish. They were absolute. I mean, it's one of those partnerships that just made it for me last season. It was absolutely ablaze. But the money, 25 years. English international, you're gonna be paying 80, 90, 100. I think Villa, if Villa want to sell, it should be around 60. If they are willing to sell, like I said, I don't think they're gonna cut down the tree. I know they do love their project, but if they're not willing to sell, then you're gonna be looking at a figure in excess of 70 million. Trust me. Edu has said that we will be buying in players for 70 million after we make the structure. The structure is done, but I don't see Arsenal signing Ollie Watkins for 70 million. But it could happen. I mean, we have Pepe. It could happen. Striker candidate number 3 is Sardar Azmoun, and that one is from Zenit St. Petersburg, 26 years of age. The rumored fee is very little, and his contract expires in 2022. Nothing. I don't know much about him, but I can tell you, his statistics at Zenit. This season, played 9 games, 5 goals already. He has a red card. I mean, I don't know why he got that red card, but he has a red card this season. 9 appearances, 5 goals. It speaks volumes, doesn't it? And then last season, 24. Wow, these are incredible statistics. 24 games, 19 goals. Last season, but 1. That is 2019-2020. 28 appearances, 17 goals. He's a goal machine. But there are 2 things to look at. To look at in that aspect. 1, the nature of the league. Zenit is the biggest in Russia, should be the biggest in Russia, and and if you're their striker, you have top quality players around you, and you're playing weak opponents. I don't think he would score 19 goals in 24 appearances at Arsenal, But I think Ollie Watkins, and this is not me being a lawyer to Ollie Watkins or an attorney or something like that, but I think Ollie Watkins could score the 14 goals in 37 appearances for Arsenal, or even more. And it's more like, bringing it to reality. How many goals has he scored in the Champions League? In the Champions League, in the past 2 seasons, he has no goals in the Champions League. Right? Played 2 games this season and played 4 games last season, and that speaks volumes, because in the Russian Premier League, the competition is not that much. In the Champions League, where you have a different stage, we have a different test. He's not scored a goal in 6 consecutive games, and he scored 20. He scored around 40 goals. He scored around 45 goals in his last 55 appearances. So I don't back him. I don't back him. I would never put my cards on the table for him. But contract expiring in 2022, that is a risk, because Arsenal are going to put their money there. And then 26 years of age, again, he's not that young, comes from Iran. I won't look at him as a possibility. I've not seen him linked with Arsenal before until now, and I don't think the rumors will grow. So Sardar Azmoun, however much I do like anyone who comes in to replace Alexander Lacazette, he's not on top of my list. Right. Now, you have a 21-year-old who will cost 77 million, and his contract expires in 2023. And that one is Dusan Vlahovic from Fiorentina. We know this one. We know the Serbian international. And I think there is some uncertainty with his contract. I think the Fiorentina president was speaking about his contract, and he said they gave him a contract that makes him the most paid player in Flores, and he turned it down. They want him to stay. He's 21, and his statistics absolutely speak volumes. Of course, he was wanted by Arsenal in the summer and Tottenham. Tottenham, of course, thought they were going to lose Harry Kane, so they decided to go for some alternatives. This season alone, he has a yellow card and an assist, but 7 matches, he scored 4 times. So that means he has only, he's engaged in 5 goals in 7 matches. Only 180 minutes that he's not engaged in a goal this season. But last season, he scored 21 goals in 37 appearances. That is mad. Because in the Italian Serie A, 21 goals in 37 appearances, he was chasing the likes of Ronaldo, wasn't he? Yeah, I think he would work. 21 years of age. He would be my second option, or third after Ollie Watkins and Ivan Toney. He would be my third option. But the reason why I think this could be a bit more of a possibility, his contract runs down in 2023. So if you have 2 options. One, you sell at this moment, where you can get 50 million, you could get 60 million, or 70 million euros, or you wait for the player's contract to run down. You take your chances. We've seen these things happen. Players drag until their contracts are ending, and then they either sign a new deal, because there's a lot of pressure from on the team, or what they do is they just go for a free, and you don't want that. It's happening with Kylian Mbappe at Paris Saint-Germain. It happened with Eduardo Camavinga, and Madrid are so lucky. Anyone who would have taken Camavinga would have been so lucky, because Rene had a lot of time to deal with his contract situation. They had 4 years. It went to 3 years. It went to 2 years. That 2 years, that's when he wants to stay or he doesn't want to stay. And then it went to 1 year. So they had to get pennies. And I think with Dusan Vlahovic, I don't think Fiorentina will get pennies. They will sell him. So many clubs want strikers. I think they could get a bid from Newcastle. They're now the biggest club in the world. they could get a bid from Manchester City. I think they will try to get a striker in January or next summer. They could get a bid from Arsenal. We want a striker. They could get a bid from United. I also think United do need a striker, and eventually they will. You have the likes of Barcelona. I think it's high time the likes of Braithwaite stop playing for Barcelona. I think Madrid, the likes of Karim Benzema getting old. So there is a high demand for strikers, and a 21-year-old that is having a contract running down. Of course, there are clubs that would love to milk the situation, like Real Madrid. They'll tell him, let your contract run down. We will take you on a free, right? And we'll give you a huge sign-on fee and things like that. But I think what Arsenal should do or could do is try to negotiate with Fiorentina in January. Try to see that you pay around 45 mil, because in 2020 it's gonna be 22. It's gonna be 2022. 1 year left on his contract, and Fiorentina will listen. 21 years of age, 77 million euros. It's a little bit stretched, a little bit exaggerated. I would think about 45 to 50, and I think he could be the real deal. And lastly is Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I've now spoken about Dominic, but I'll do an extensive report this week about Dominic. One striker that I still doubt a lot. I don't know if I'm too fond of looking for the nitty gritties, especially if I do not like a player. But I just don't feel he's that kind of accomplished striker like many people think. This season, though, he scored 3 goals in 3 matches. And he's out injured. Last season, 16 goals in 33 matches in the Premier League. That gives him an advantage over all the other strikers, apart from Ollie Watkins. Actually, even Ollie Watkins, because Ollie Watkins scores 14, in 37. And Dominic scores 16 in 33. Less games, less time, more goals, in the Premier League. But I think he had better players around him than Ollie. We've got to accept that. Yes, Villa had Grealish, but I think last season Everton were a little bit more organized and they had better players around Calvert. Because I think James was, at the beginning of the season, James was that good. They had Alan, they had Decore, who's still very, very good, by the way. And everything was working out. And of course, you can't forget Richarlison. So the chances he received and the quality of those chances, converting 16 times, it was good, but I think it puts him almost on the same level as Ollie Watkins, because Ollie Watkins being promoted from the Championship, scoring 14 goals for a club like Aston Villa, who I think by that time were Jack Grealish FC. Without Grealish, they were nothing. Even when he got injured, he had the most number of assists. He had the most number of every statistic at Aston Villa. So, look, I don't know what you people think about Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I'm skeptical. I'm really, really skeptical. One thing I like about him is his aerial prowess. With Kian Tierney crossing in all the time, probably we could use it. But I love a striker who's a little bit more all round. A striker that, go in the air, get me 5 goals in a season. Use your left foot, get me 10 goals in a season, and then use your right foot, get me 15 goals in a season. You could get me 1 or 2 with your belly and your chest. That is what I want to see. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, yes, I mean. And my problem is you're gonna have to pay the English premium. That is one of the things I don't like with players like Dominic. You're gonna pay the English premium, and it's gonna come in your in your side, and then he flops. That is my problem, and I don't like that. So in pecking order, I think number 1 should be Ollie Watkins. We should try Ollie Watkins. It's going to be expensive. His contract is still a little bit relaxed, so it's going to be very, very hard. Number 2, Dusan Vlahovic. Try Dusan Vlahovic. I think a little bit more realistic, though, than Ollie, but I think I'll start with Ollie, then go to Dusan Vlahovic. Number 3, definitely it's going to be Calvert. It's going to be Calvert. Number 3, Dominic Calvert-Lewin. We should try that as our third option if the first 2 fail. Number 4, Youssef En-Nesyri. Look, these strikers from Spain, I just it's not like I don't trust players from Spain, but I just have my own questions from with them. I've seen Brian Gill struggle at Spurs, and he was and he's a big talent. He was a big talent in Spain. And of course, the last one that I think we shouldn't even consider is Sardar Azmoun. Tell me, out of those 5, who do you think Arsenal should at least try to get? Smash a like on the video, and I'll speak to you in the next one.